Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Lumax Auto Technologies Limited Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Anmol Jain, Managing Director. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to FY21 earnings call of Lumax Auto Technologies Limited. I sincerely hope you all are safe and healthy amidst these challenging times. Along with me on this call, I have Mr. Deepak Jain, Director, Mr. Vineet Sahani, Group CEO, Mr. Vikas Marwa, Lumax Technologies CEO, Mr. Naval Khanna, Executive Director, Lumax Management Services, Mr. Sanjay Mehta, Director and Group CFO, Mr. Ashish Dubey, Lumax Technologies CFO, Ms. Priyanka Sharma, Head Corporate Communications, Mr. Ankit Thakral from the finance team, and SGA, our Investor Relations Advisor. The results and presentation are uploaded on the stock exchange and company website. I hope everybody has had a chance to look at it. Since fiscal 21 started off with a pause, and by the time we were reaching towards the end of the year, the new year started off with new challenges. The second wave has affected many of our near ones and unfortunately taken away some of our loved ones too. The second wave was different than the first one on 3 aspects. First, it affected the rural markets unlike the first wave. Number 2, the demographics and the age group it attacked was much younger compared to the first one. And number 3, it left behind fear, not just inconvenience. Transition towards normalcy is going to be a long-drawn process, but with good monsoon and hopefully no third wave anytime soon, I hope for a quick bounce back. Let me take you to the performance of the auto industry. As per data published by SIAM, in the financial year FY 2021, there was a degrowth in production of all segments compared to the previous years. A degrowth of 11% for passenger vehicles, a degrowth of 13% for two-wheelers, degrowth of 17% for commercial vehicles, and a massive degrowth of 46% for three-wheelers. Thereby, the total industry degrew by 14% during the year. Let me now take you through the performance of each business entity. The standalone entity caters to integrated plastic modules, aftermarket business, chassis, swing arm for two-wheelers, trailing arm for three-wheelers under the metallic business, and two-wheeler lighting. The standalone entity has contributed 81% of the total consolidated revenues. Lumax Mano Allied Technologies, the 55% subsidiary that manufactures manual, AMT, and automatic transmission gearshift systems and has a market leadership position, contributed 11% to the total consolidated revenues. Lumax Cornaglia Auto Technologies, the 50% subsidiary which manufactures air intake systems and urea tank, commanding 100% share of business with Volkswagen and Tata Motors, contributed 7% to the total consolidated revenues. The subsidiary company has registered a growth of more than 50% year-on-year due to the start of manufacturing of urea tanks at the beginning of financial year 2021. This is despite the COVID pandemic year. With effect from October 15, 2020, Lumax Gill Austin Auto Technologies Private Limited became a 100% subsidiary of the company on acquisition of balance stake from the JV partner Gill Austin LLC. The name of the company has been changed to Lumax Metallic Private Limited. The company is confident of increasing the revenues over the next few years with new programs starting in FY22 and a healthy order book. Lumax Ituran is a 50% joint venture with Ituran Telematics of Israel. The company has started commercial invoicing, although at a low base. The revenue of this company is not considered in the consolidated revenue, being an associate of the parent company as per Ind AS. The company has secured a letter of intent from a global OEM, SOP of which is expected in FY23. Lumax Yorp Allied Technologies is a 50% subsidiary which is engaged in the design, development and production of gear shift towers, automated manual transmission kits, all gear sensors and forks. The production has started to pick up as per the OEM schedule. Lumax Yokowo Technologies is a new 50-50 joint venture with Yokowo Technologies Limited, Japan, to manufacture and supply antenna systems and other vehicle communication products to the Indian automotive industry. We expect to commence production in the later part of FY23. The company was also bestowed on several awards during the year. One of the prestigious awards was that the company won the Platinum Award for Best Annual Report from League of American Communications Professionals for excellence within its industry for the financial year 2019-20. In FY21, your company secured a healthy order book of over 400 crores of orders and achieved highest ever quarterly revenue in quarter 4. As forecasted during the second quarter call, we performed well in the second half of the year, due to which the revenue for the full year is down by a mere 3% as against industry degrowth of 14%. The year FY22 has started with new curbs, and most of the OEMs had shut their operations in the month of May, either voluntarily or due to lockdown imposed by state government. OEMs have also faced lower demand on account of partial functioning of dealerships. There has been shortages of critical items like industrial oxygen and semiconductors essential for production and manufacturing of vehicles. There have also been issues with logistics and disruptions in supply chain. However, demand is expected to rebound as restrictions are lifted. We are hopeful of a fast recovery with expectations of a good monsoon and all other positive macroeconomic factors. On the employee welfare and vaccination, I'm happy to say that we at Lumax have always believed people are our biggest assets and their health and safety are of utmost priority to us. Therefore, at the group level, we had set up quarantine centers at various plant locations, fully equipped with oxygen concentrators, ambulance services, and basic medical support, including a 24/7 doctor on board. The COVID-19 vaccination drive was kick-started in April 2021 at our facilities. Till date, total of 5 camps have been held and around almost 1,000 employees have been vaccinated. We intend full vaccination of our people and their families as soon as possible as a responsible corporate. Now I would like to hand over the line to Mr. Sanjay Mehta, Director and Group CFO, to update you on the operational and financial performance of the company for quarter 4 and 12 months of fiscal year 2021.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me update on the operational and financial performance of the company. Integrated plastic modules contributed 28% to overall revenue, followed by aftermarket at 20%, chassis at 16%, lighting products at 12%, gear shifter at 11%, emission at 7%, and others at 6%. 2 and 3-wheeler contributed 45% to overall revenues. Aftermarket contributed 20%, passenger car at 18%, and CVs at 10%. The consolidated revenue stood at rupees 388 crore for Q4 FY21 as against 273 in Q4 FY20, up by 42% on full year basis. Company reported 1108 crore revenue as against 1141 crore in FY20, are down by only 3%. The company reported consolidated EBITDA of rupees 47 crores in Q4 against 21 crore in Q4 FY20, up by 122%. For full year, EBITDA was at 114 crores, vis-a-vis 109 crores for FY20, up by 5%. FY20 EBITDA does not include our gain on sale of property amounting to 2.22 crores, which is the part of third quarter other income. EBITDA margin stands at 12% for Q4 as against 7.7% for Q4 FY20. Margins improved on account of increased revenue coupled with cost-saving measures. For full year FY21, EBITDA margin stands at 10.3% as compared to 9.5% in FY20, up by 80 basis points. Profit after tax and minority interest stood at rupees 21 crore in Q4 against 6 crore in Q4 FY20. And on annual basis, FY21, 47 crores as against 50 crores in FY20. The capex during FY20 was rupees 65 crore, mainly on account of start of production of subsidiary company Lumax 5 and urea tank. The board has declared final dividend of 150% rupees 3 per equity share, subject to approval of shareholders in the ensuing annual general meeting of the company. Now we open the floor for call for questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question and congrats for a strong set of performance. Sir, CV segment contribution has gone up to 10%. So just wanted to know what is your medium-term target revenue from the CV segment and which products could be a potential revenue driver for in CVs. There is a significant jump in revenue from Tata Motors as well. Is it because of the incremental revenue from the urea tanks business only?
Vikas, would you like to take that?
Yes, sir. So thank you for your question. You are right that due to the enhanced focus of the company on the commercial vehicle segment, the product development for the urea tank which was on got commercialized for SOP during the pandemic year, and we supplied 97,000 urea tanks in spite of April to June being a washout. We are looking at an increased volume sale of about 130,000 urea tanks during the current year. We have also won the gear shift lever assembly orders from a couple of commercial vehicle OEMs, which will start picking up for production from Q3 of the current year. So these are the two flagship products we can say, which will be now driving the enhanced focus on the commercial vehicle segment.
And what is the average?
Go ahead,
So what is the average revenue from this urea tank per unit?
So on an average, we are supplying around a 10-liter capacity tank to the commercial vehicle customer right now, and the price range is between 2,200 to 2,400 rupees per tank.
Okay, so yes, sir.
And the electronic content on this and the other is extra. So going ahead, your company would be trying to put more value addition into this particular segment to increase the per unit price.
So what is your revenue target for from the urea tank in FY22?
So again,
yeah, sorry.
The market size of urea tank is about 400 to 500 crores. And as I had mentioned earlier, the phase 1 target would be to capture approximately a 10 to 15% part of that pie, thereby about 50 crores. For FY22, I think we are pretty much in line with meeting that objective.
Okay. And sir, we have seen a significant jump in the air intake system business. Obviously, that is one from the significant jump in the urea tank revenue, and the other is the oxygen sensor. So, what was the revenue contribution from the oxygen sensor in FY21 in air intake business?
So there are two very different things. The oxygen sensor is a very different joint venture, which is with a Spanish company, Lumax Spy. I don't think there were any significant revenues made in FY21 out of that joint venture, even though we have started supplies to certain OEMs, but it is still at a very nascent and a small stage. For the air intake systems, yes, there has been a significant growth, both in terms of the air intake system by itself and, of course, with the entry into the urea tank, which rests into the same joint venture of Lumax Cornaglia.
Okay. And sir, in oxygen sensor, you book the revenue in the other parts or in which segment actually?
Sanjay, Vikas, can you take that?
Others we have booked in others because of municipal item that other cities.
Others. And quantum is quite low in FY21.
Yes.
Okay, sir. And FY21 growth in aftermarket business was quite strong. Given the lockdown impact in first quarter FY22 and high base, are we able to surpass the last year numbers, sir, in aftermarket business?
So definitely, aftermarket for the full year, despite a quarter one washout, we have pretty much been able to grow by 4% on a year-on-year basis. However, in quarter four, we grew by almost 60%. So we also achieved peak revenues per month in quarter four. And if I were to annualize the quarter four revenue, then we would be definitely on track in our midterm goal to double the aftermarket revenue. So we would be on track with that. But we do expect a strong recovery once the lockdowns are lifted, and we should come back on track to deliver the aftermarket business where we intend to move in our long-term strategy.
Okay. So, sir, there is a very significant opportunity you are looking in the plastic molded parts, especially in the four-wheeler side. You have also won new business from the Maruti as well. So, what would be the incremental revenue you are looking in FY22 from four-wheeler plastic parts?
So I think the incremental revenue, Vikas, if you want to throw some light on that, on the plastic four-wheeler.
So the incremental revenue on the plastic four-wheeler parts would be a double-digit, kind of a figure, which would come mainly from the new entry into the Maruti businesses. The full value revenue would be realized only in FY23, but happy to inform you that we have commenced the setting up of the plant at Bangalore, which would be now catering to this particular business.
And what is the capex and asset turnover of that plant?
The total capex outlay for FY22 would be just approximately 100 crores at a consolidated level. And for the when Vikas mentioned for the Bangalore plant, it is actually not a greenfield site. It is a brownfield expansion of our current facility. So we do not expect more than maybe about 15 to 20 crores going out of the 100 crores on expanding for the plastics four-wheeler business.
Okay. And what revenue we are targeting from FY23 from this plant?
The incremental revenue from the plastic four-wheeler business over, as Vikas mentioned, in FY23 would be the peak. But to give you a flavor, we should be looking at upwards of anywhere around 40 to 50 crores of incremental revenue from the four-wheeler plastics in FY22.
Okay. Last question from my side on the sheet metal part. There is a significant ramp up, and quarterly run rate has gone up to the 66 crore. Is it because of the increasing share of the business from existing clients, or you added some new clients in this segment?
So we have constantly said that we will try to improve our wallet share in all our existing businesses, and that is exactly what has happened. We have been able to penetrate deeper into our customer Bajaj Auto for the fabrication metallic business, and we have now catering to both the export model as well as now the premium bikes of KTM models. So that has been the result of increasing in our market share or wallet share in Bajaj Auto, which has led to this significant growth in revenue.
So Bajaj Auto is the only client in the sheet metal part, or there are the other clients as well?
Bajaj is right now the single largest customer for the metallic business of the company.
Okay. Okay, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Sir, if you could give some color on the new order wins, which you mentioned at about 400 crores for FY21. Is that correct? And how much of that new order win is executable in 22, and how much of it is then will get ramped up to what number?
So I will start off and maybe Vikas could supplement later. So the total order book approximately of 400 crores, which I mentioned, nearly close to about 120 to 150 crores of this would be coming in FY22, and the balance would come in FY23, and some of it might even get split to 24. Out of the total 400 crores, roughly about 100 crores or about 25% is a replacement business, and almost 75% is a new business, which will add to the incremental revenue.
Okay. And if you could give on the new business wins, what new business wins have we got? Any major ones if you could share?
Vikas?
So in terms of the new business wins, as Mr. Jain indicated a total figure, the bulk of the new wins has come in the Lumax Mano Auto Technologies business for the gear shifters, where we have got the orders to be served out of Bangalore, which will be again a new greenfield investment, and the commencement of the production of this plant is beginning this year. That would be one big business that will be coming. Besides that, the AMT business wins that Tata have got further strengthened with the expansion of the platform. And as you may be aware, we informed in the last earnings call, the successful launch of AMT gear shifters with Tata Motors has commenced. Also, we have won several new programs with Mahindra, again in the gear shifter business. Coming to the other businesses, of course, as Mr. Jain mentioned, we have increased our share of wallet with the metallic business with the first production of the frames for motorcycles now coming from Pune. We were always at Aurangabad. We have started the commercial production at Pune now. And we have also won the orders again from PSA this year for the emission business for air intake systems. And about 150 crores of incremental revenue is expected to be added in all these businesses put together in FY22 as we look at it.
So you mentioned for Mano, so there is bulk of this is for Mano, so there is CV gear shifter, Tata Motors PV gear shifter, and Mahindra PV gear shifters, right?
That's right. And along with that, Lumax YOP, which comes under our mechatronics domain. For that also the new business wins for control housing, which is a new product that was introduced during the FY21. For that also with Mahindra being the flagship customer, these new business will be now adding on to the revenue.
And 120 crore of additional revenue that the MD mentioned was basically incremental, right? This did not include any replacement business.
So out of the total order wins of about 400 crores, about 150 crore rupees worth of the business will be added to the top line in FY22 as per the current projections.
But sir, that 400 crore includes 25% replacement, right?
That
so
is
this
true.
150 now you're mentioning is incremental, or that also includes replacement?
That includes some bit of replacement also, because a couple of programs are coming to an end of life. So roughly you can say about 122 crores would be the incremental new business contribution from the new business wins.
Which helps. And so considering this new business, which is, let's say, about, roughly 10% of our FY21 top line, incremental coming from new business, what is the type of top line growth that you would hazard a guess in FY22 for yourself?
So right now we are looking at, if the industry were to bounce back, and again we have maybe had some shortfalls in the first quarter itself, but we would be looking at anywhere between a 25 to 30% or upwards revenue growth over FY21 in FY22.
Okay. And on the margin side, we were earlier mentioning that we will do double digit. What we see as exit quarter at a much higher number. Is exit quarter the reference number for the margin, or the annual number is the reference for the margin?
Well, I would say that the annual number, we would like to maintain that in FY22. The fourth quarter, of course, has been a higher number because of several reasons of cost savings and a much higher revenue base as well. I do not anticipate a similar revenue base to continue in the corresponding quarters equally. So there would be some certain inflationary costs would also come in. But I would say that the intent would be to take the base of FY21 EBITDA margin, and we would definitely do our best to further expand on that with the incremental revenue growth in FY22.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Atul Kotari from Progwell Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Sir, I have a couple of questions. So first of all, I would like to know, did we face any logistic-related issues due to lockdown in the month of April and May?
You're talking about logistic issues. Can you be more in terms of our inflow of parts or our supply to our OEM?
Sorry, sir. So how much business we lost due to the second wave of COVID? What was the overall impact on our business, sir?
It's still premature to determine, but I think we would have had a maybe 15% to 20% shortfall than what we had forecasted in quarter one.
Okay. And sir, are we likely to recover the same in going ahead, sir?
It's too premature. I would only say that none of the OEMs so far have revised their annual forecast or annual outlook for FY22. So we do remain hopeful that most of the OEMs had advanced their June shutdowns in the month of May. So we are hopeful that in the month of June, we would actually fare a better revenue than what was anticipated. And yes, likely to recover most of this deficit in the corresponding 3 quarters. This would be our thought, of course, with a disclaimer that I hope there is no third wave and the moment continues to be in the positive curve.
Okay, sir. Good to hear that, sir. So what is the raw material recovery lag period in our case? So do we expect higher cost due to the increase in commodity prices?
So our raw material usually is compensated by our OEMs, the escalations in the raw material. However, depending on OEM, the policy is usually on a 1 to 2 quarters lag basis. So we, of course, have to give the subsequent increases to our suppliers on a real-time basis. But then the corresponding effect of that comes in approximately 3 to 4 months later into our books of accounts. And that is just the way the policies are structured with our OEMs on the raw material compensation.
Okay, sir. Sir, as you said that we normally take 1 to 2 quarters, there is a lag period of 1 to 2 quarters. So will there be an sufficient impact on our or adverse impact on our margins in this quarter?
I think
on FY22?
This is Deepak Jain here. Let me just say this. I think, the Q1, I think we would not be able to give you a very firm outlook. I think the markets are volatile, as you know very well. There is obviously a lot of effort which the company is making to ensure that, we are able to sustain our margins. May month, as Anmol has mentioned already, some impact due to COVID 2.0, but I think we'll be in a better position to comment about that, when we are doing the call for the quarter one review.
Okay, sir. And sir, how has been the demand from the rural area for us in Q4? And especially in the first 2 months of Q1 FY22, April and May?
Yeah, it's very difficult because we are a B2B. We do not track the end user behavior in terms of whether the retail sales are being done in the rural or urban. But based on the models which we are catering to, I would say that there has been, yes, in the two-wheeler space, a certain dip in the demand of entry-level bikes, but the exports and the premium bikes in the two-wheeler space have still maintained its momentum. And in the passenger car space, it has been a mixed bag, but overall, I think there has not been much of an impact on the passenger car for any specific rural region.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. That's all from my end.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So I have two questions. So first is on the aftermarket business where you did extremely well. Within aftermarket, you sell like a full bouquet of products. So any specific range of products or any segment within aftermarket where you focused and that helped this growth, and going forward, what will be the strategy over there?
So Vineet, would you like to add on the aftermarket strategy?
Yeah, sure. So in aftermarket, we have taken, three-pronged strategy, I would say. One is we were very strong in lighting, but our two-wheeler market share was less. So we created a product development cell, a team, and we launched several products in last couple of years, which increased our market share in aftermarket. So that is on the two-wheeler lighting part of it. On the second, we have launched other products as well. For example, recently we launched the wipers under the brand of Lumax, and that is adding onto the revenue. And third, Mahindra products which were not going to the market earlier. So we have now agreement with our customer, and we are able to push these products as OE products in aftermarket, which has helped us to increase the revenue. So overall, the picture for aftermarket look very optimistic in future.
And I'll just add to that apart from the product development, we are also constantly focusing on getting into new product lines and trying to further our market share in our current product line. So there has been some traction in FY21, but because of the volatility in the lockdowns and in regional-wise aftermarket, we do expect that in FY22 we should fare better on those fronts as well.
Okay, got it. So the second strategy in a way which has helped you is some of the two-wheeler companies which you work with has a good export proportion. And despite domestic market getting impacted, that business actually did pretty well. But that is indirect exports. I wanted to just understand, are we looking for any direct exports as well as a strategy, because some of the products which we might be manufacturing, we can do exports of that and can de-risk any of our verticals. So just on the direct export side, any strategy?
So Vineet this side, I'll add on. We have taken a strategy in aftermarket at this moment. to promote the exports in the aftermarket business. And we are focusing on that, and we have started seeing traction. But for the OEM at this moment, we have to work out on the buyback arrangement, because in almost all product lines we have global partners. So there the market is divided. Like we are focusing on India and they are focusing on other than India. But we are working on a buyback arrangements in future, which will help us in increasing export. So this strategy is under discussion.
Okay. Got it. And sir, our last question, is on our medium to long-term margin guidance. Obviously, the current situation where raw material prices have increased and all, but what will be your medium to, let's say 3 to 5 years kind of margin trajectory which you want to achieve? Any ballpark number if you can give, that would be helpful.
I think I've said that in the past, that our endeavor is to enter the teen EBITDA margin upwards of 13%. I think we are inching towards that. If you look at Q3 performance or even Q4 performance standalone, it was hovering around the 12% mark. Of course, for the full year, we've just been over the double digit. But I think going forward, with the incremental revenue growth and as the strategy plays out, we definitely feel that getting to 13% would be the first milestone. And then to sustain it and further grow it would be something which we would look at that point of time. But right now, the endeavor would be to go from a 10+% to near 13% in the midterm.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Dhanyavad, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, if I could just sum up from your earlier conversation, I joined a bit late. You are expecting a 20 to 25% revenue growth depending upon the roadmap given by the OEM for this year, and there is a very likelihood of an improvement in margins because of our greater penetration towards the aftermarket products and sales. This is correct, sir?
So that is correct. The overall consolidated revenues growth, yes, we do anticipate a growth of 20-25% or more. But the aftermarket is just one of the business avenues which will contribute to this growth. As I had mentioned earlier, we have a very healthy order book across our businesses, which will get into SOP and in the revenue stream in FY22. So almost all of our businesses would be contributing towards this growth of 20 to 25 or 30% in FY22.
Sir, and how has this non-availability of semiconductor played, and how have we made sure that this is not acting as a hindrance for our growth plans going forward?
Vikas, would you want to take that?
Yes, sir. So in terms of the products that are currently supplied by Lumax Auto Technologies, the electronic content is on the rise, especially with the introduction of the AMT gear shifters and now getting into dual clutch transmission assemblies, and also then going ahead in the future with the Ituran product that would be supplied to a major global OEM. So the semiconductors currently, while in FY21 have not been a showstopper to that extent, but we started sensing right from Q2 of last year that there would be issues coming in terms of procurement and pricing, for which we actively engage with the OEMs. The OEMs are currently supporting the sourcing of the semiconductors as well. Also, we are also doing a lot of, we are building on the synergy of the group as a whole, where Lumax Industries Limited has a large electronic division, and they have a joint venture partner with Stanley, and they have sourcing and buying offices in Taiwan and other parts of the world. So we are leveraging upon that to ensure that there is a seam of these critical components going ahead. And at Lumax Auto Technology for FY22, we do not see a challenge in terms of the semiconductor sourcing. We are equipped for that.
And so we are de-risking it. We are de-risking it at a group level. We do not anticipate any major setbacks because of semiconductor, at least on the supply side. Of course, on the OEM demand side, if there are any setbacks, those are beyond our control.
Sir, if we take the H2, how has the utilization levels played out for quarter 3 and quarter 4, a comparative for the utilization level as a whole or on blended basis?
So it's a very, I'm assuming with utilization, you're talking about capacities utilization.
Plant level, yes, sir, yes, sir.
So it's kind of a difficult mix because we are a very diverse product portfolio as well as a customer portfolio. But to give you a very generic, our capacity utilizations in quarter 3 and quarter 4, where we clocked the highest quarterly revenues, has been anywhere between upwards of 80% or so for certain products, and that's why there are further brownfield and greenfield expansions and investments planned. However, there are still the recent joint ventures, some of them, which are really sitting on idle capacity, and we have enough to scale up those joint ventures to a mature level. So to that aspect, we also would have businesses which would be sitting on maybe 80% idle capacity. So it's a mix.
Right. And last part on the bookkeeping part, sir. We see that under the asset category, non-current asset, there has been an increase in the investment from 50 crore to 90 crore, as well as under the current asset also, the same has gone up from 11 crores to 40 crores. So, yeah. No, yes, sir. If you could explain, sir, what these investments are into and how are we going to benefit from the same?
Sanjay, Ashish?
Yeah. So investments, we have an investment in Lumax Industries and also in Lumax Ancillary Limited. And every year, whatever the market price is there, accordingly it will be restricted. So that is the reason of the increase in the investments.
Okay, sir. Both clubbed under non-current as well as current assets?
No, under the current... It is only non-current investments, and under the current investments, there has been an increase in basically the mutual fund amount. Correspondingly, there is a decrease in the current account balance as compared to the previous year. So we have just basically used the current account balance and put it into the mutual funds.
Right. Lastly, sir, on the dividend distribution policy, sir, have we articulated? Please correct me if the same has been done for us. As has been the requirement from SEBI now also that the corporates are required to come up with their dividend distribution policy. So are we looking into it, or have we articulated anything on that front?
We have a very clear dividend policy which states that we must maintain a minimum dividend payout of 35%. Or 1/3 of the dividends must be distributed to the investors. That is very clearly the policy, and we are happy that we have been able to maintain that even in the most difficult times in the previous years.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir, and all the best, sir, for the future endeavors. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Apurva Mehta from AM Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, yeah, congratulations on good set of numbers. Sir, just wanted to ask you about, long-term, 3 years down the line, where do we see our company to, maybe on the turnover side, on the margin side kind of thing? And also, can you describe in detail what will be the role of our different subsidiaries in that growth? So we can, come to know that where we stand after 3 years, where do you see this company to? I know it's very difficult, but broadly speaking, where do we see our companies to reach in next 3 years?
So Purvaji, thank you very much. So I'll give you 2 senses of this. See, number one, if you look at the revenue, I have always said that for Lumax Technologies, our constant endeavor is, because of our diverse product, partnership, and customer base, we definitely would like to constantly fare better than the industry. And I'm happy that even in FY21, you see that, and even if you look at the last 3 years, FY19, 20, and 21, while the industry has degrown by almost close to 30%, Lumax Auto Technologies as a company has only degrown by 7% in the last 3 years. So that also speaks volumes of our inherent capability and positivity. I think going forward, I would say that we will do better than the industry. Whatever CAGR the industry grows at, we would definitely be far, far better than that. If you look at our joint ventures and our subsidiaries, right now they contribute about 20% of the consolidated revenues. I think the guidance I have given earlier, some of these joint ventures are yet to scale up and hit the maturity level. So I would say over the next 3 to 5 years horizon, the joint venture subsidiary should contribute about 1/3 of the consolidated revenues. So maybe about 30-35% of the revenues should come from the JV subsidiaries, and the balance would come from the standalone entity. Giving you an outlook on the revenue would be very, very difficult. But as I said, I mean, if the industry grows in double digits over the next few years, let's say 10 to 12%, we would expect to grow at least 15 to 18% or so on a year-on-year basis. So having said that, if I calculate that, from a current revenue base of 1100 odd crores, over the next 3 to 4 years, you should look at inching closer towards the 1800 crores, 2000 crore mark.
But if you just calculate this year only, if your guidance is about 25-30%, and if we take the upper side 30%, we will be close to 1450 crores. So
correct.
Yeah.
That's
so
correct. We will just come back to where we were in approximate FY19 levels.
Yeah.
But having said that, then of course to sustain a 25-30% growth at an industry level would of course not be sustainable. This would be one specific year to come back after the COVID, to bounce back. I would say that after that the industry would normalize on a regular double-digit 10 to 12% growth rate. So having said that, as I said, if we are looking at a 1450 crores revenue in FY22, and thereafter you grow at a 15% or the CAGR, then you could look at upwards of 2000 crores in the 3 years time frame.
And margins will be definitely toward the teens. Yeah, we can envisage that.
I think we have constantly shown that over the last 3, 4, 5 years, our margins have consistently inched towards the north side, and slowly but surely it's moved to the double digits, sustained the double digits, and as I said, going forward we would not just sustain it at the current level, we would further expand our margins and towards the teenage EBITDA levels. That would be our first endeavor.
And when the world is moving towards EV, and definitely we would be also looking towards that. Any sense of what we are trying to, where everybody is now trying to get some of the other products towards the EV products side? Any sense that what we are trying to do or what we will be trying to do, and the new developments what we are trying to do towards that?
Vikas, would you take that, please?
So currently, if you see the composition of our products, a lot of those products are forever going to be there, irrespective of the internal combustion engine or the EV or even the hybrid. And I'm referring to largely the sheet metal components there, which would definitely remain there. On the plastic side, with the very slightest of the modifications, we are already there, and we hope to remain in all the future models, even of the current OEMs. When we come to the gear shifters, of course, in the gear shifters, the manual transmission and everything would definitely be then going out, but we don't see it happening on the four-wheeler segment at least for the next 5 years to 7 years kind of a time frame. So we are not yet contemplating to join the bandwagon in terms of the familiar products that you hear in terms of motors and controllers and everything, because the market has actually not reached a critical mass there and is not expected to reach even in the next 3 to 4 years. However, we continue to work very aggressively on the total EV space and the connected vehicle space, because it's an entire ecosystem of the CASE technology. So the recent joint ventures that you are seeing, whether it with Yokowo or with the futuristic telematics products, where we have won a major business with a global OEM. So these are all towards the futuristic products. Specifically zeroing down to EV products, we currently have not stepped the gear there. That's a fact.
But Apurva, just to add to that, I think the three key domains which this company operates into the OEM space are plastics, electronics, and mechatronics. And I'm talking for the future point of view. Yes, we do have a strong presence in metallics as well, but going forward, I have always said that plastics, electronics, and mechatronics would be also growth drivers, and all these three fit in quite well with the whole EV transformation. In the EV transformation, all these three play a very vital role and have more opportunities than being at risk of being eliminated.
And if you see our gear shifter business, in our gear shifter business, we have a near 100% market share today on whatever EVs that are getting sold either through Mahindra or whatever is coming through Tata. And even going ahead, we are also very aggressively now engaged with the commercial vehicle manufacturers on those platforms. So on the automatic gear shifter train, yes, we are definitely there, much ahead of the curve and much before the other companies had started.
And on the acquisition front, there is a strongly looking at acquisition of some of the assets which you would like to enter. Any update on that?
We are constantly engaged with opportunities in the inorganic space. However, nothing which right now is worth mentioning. But as we progress on any of those opportunities, I will surely make the announcements in due course.
And any new JVs in pipeline which you will be, maybe announcing later on, but any pipeline of JVs you are looking at?
Yes, we are constantly looking out for strategic, good partnerships for the Indian market to service our customers better. So yes, there are some JVs under discussion, but as and when they reach a matured stage, we would be happy to share the details with you.
Thanks a lot, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, effective tax rate was quite high in FY21. It was around 43%. So what tax rate can we assume in FY22 and FY23? And what is the reason of this high tax rate?
The effective rate is 25.9%.
25. And what tax rate can we assume in FY22, 23?
It will remain like that only.
That will be the same?
Yes. I mean, like in future, 25% tax will be there.
Okay. And sir, what is the capex plan for this FY22 and FY23?
So for now, we only have a FY22 guidance. As I mentioned earlier, it is a little less than 100 crores, which would go in FY22. And in FY21, we did approximately 60-65 crores.
Okay, and most of the capex would be towards this plastic molded part plant and the new capacity addition in lighting business?
Spread across all our businesses, ranging from the plastics four-wheeler to also the gear shifter systems, to also the metallic business, to also the new joint ventures. Basically, it is in line to service the 400 crore plus order book and certain strategic investments going forward, which will help navigate the company over the next 2 to 3 years.
So till date, what is your total investment in JVs?
So the total gross block in the JVs is approximately 200 crores as of March 21.
200 crores. And net block, sir?
Ankit, would you have that figure on the net block?
So the net block is almost 180 crores.
180 crores. And what PAT you are earning from this JVs until FY21?
Minority interest, Ankit, that one asking for.
So the minority interest is around 4 crores, basically for the financial year 21, which has been consolidated in Lumax Auto Technologies financials. So considering it basically around 50%, so the overall PAT for the JVs would be somewhere closer to around 8 crores.
8 crores. And return on capital employed, what you are generating from the JVs and what is your target ahead?
In fact, our target is about 20%, but different JVs have a different return on capital.
Okay.
So if I will take the Lumax Mano, the ROCE would be almost around above 30%. LCAT also increasing. So it depends. Different JVs have a different ROCE.
Okay, sir. Sir, my last question related with this industry numbers. Although the first half FY22 industry numbers expected to be weak, can we expect Lumax Auto to outperform because of the better volume of the Bajaj Auto?
I think I have mentioned that our constant endeavor is to outperform the industry numbers, and I think the track record has proved it otherwise. I gave the example of our last 3 years growth or degrowth of 7% versus the industry degrowth of 30%. So not just Bajaj Auto, but I think we have a healthy segment-wise mix, and also with a large contribution coming from the aftermarket. I think we've been able to fare much better than the industry, and we continue to hope to do so in the coming times as well.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirmal Bari from Samiksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my questions. My first question is on the EBIT margin target that we are looking at 13%. So firstly, in the current year, in the last 3 quarters, we have been doing double-digit EBITDA margins. So what were the cost-saving measures that were employed, and how much of this cost-saving is permanent, and how much of it would wear off as we go into the next year and things normalize? So that is the first part. And secondly, when we say that we would be moving from this to say 13% over the next 3-4 years, what all additional cost-saving measures are we looking at, or is it just economies of scale that would give us that margin?
So just 2-3 points I want to make. I think number one, the cost-saving measures which we did. Of course, there are certain costs like salary, voluntary salary reductions, etc., which happened in FY21. Of course, those have been put back into the company, and those would not be going forward. However, things like on a hybrid model of work from home or which still continues, there are certain fixed costs and travel costs which have reduced, and we expect those cost-saving measures to continue even through FY22 and perhaps onwards. So that is giving you a sense. I cannot quantify how much of cost savings has been will be sustainable and how much has been reversed. But to give you a sense, I definitely feel a significant part of those cost-saving measures will continue. Going forward, the climb from the current double digit to a 13% is not just out of cost savings, but it's a combination of multiple things. It's a combination of a incremental revenue. It's a combination of technological shift and hence a better contribution per vehicle. It's a combination of certain product mix. So there are multiple aspects, a greater revenue pie of the aftermarket as well, which traditionally has had better margins than the OEM business. So it will be a combination of all these effects and not just purely on account of cost saving measures. Of course, in the auto industry and we at Lumax constantly believe in cost saving, and we of course keep evaluating where and how we can save costs for the company.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Anmol Jain for closing comments.
Well, I would like to thank you all for joining into the call. I hope that we were able to answer all your questions. If there are any further queries, you may please get in touch with us or SGA. We will be happy to address all your questions and queries. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless us all.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Lumax Auto Technologies Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for us, and you may now disconnect your lines.